From Senegal to Sugar Hill, trace the bloodline. 100 years of brilliance through the color line. They thought the shackles broke but kept the mental chain. Langston penned the future while they legislated pain. Harlem's ballrooms birthed the cosmos in mahogany, while lynching trees still decorated southern botany. Josephine, Wakers, pearls, and Garvey's Navy ships. Du Bois debating destiny with scholarship on his lips. The Renaissance was a renaissance, it was resistance, fam. Every trumpet blast from Armstrong was a battering ram. They gave us minstrel shows, we gave them Sora Neal. Turned depression into art, made the fabricated real. Cotton Club excluded us from tables every set. Performed the Venus Nightly, never free from the deck. But Bessie Smith could shatter glass, shatter cash, shatter lies. Every note she sang contained a revolution in the sky. Build temples from the rubble, make cathedrals from the scrubble. Turned the margins to the center, now they study what we scribble. We built temples from the rubble, every generation double. The inheritance of genius that they tried to keep us from. Fast forward through the decades, watch the pattern reassemble. Malcolm's speeches, Martin's marches, every voice begins to tremble to the earth until the structure shows its fractures. FBI was tracking every coon word, every pastor, every actor. 40 acres never came but 40 minutes on a stage. To reconvene your consciousness and channelize the rage. From bebop to hip-hop, the fool lines mathematical. Each generation weaponized the beautiful, the radical. They gave us Reagan, now there's crack and mass incarceration. We gave them Public Enemy and blueprints for liberation. The Harlem Renaissance never ended, just evolved its form. Every freestyle cipher is a brainstorm, is a storm. Where the children of the talented, the tent that was prophesied, inherit the fire that the water couldn't wash aside. They tried to write us out the narrative. We offered all on text, 100 years of proof, and that we're destined. Where was next? Temples from the rubble, made cathedrals from the struggle. Turned the margins to the center, now they study what we scribble. We built temples from the rubble, every generation double. The inheritance of genius that they tried to keep us from.
All right, this is and you are Under the Groove. Welcome to Under the Groove Podcast, everybody. Been a hectic day, I can say for myself, but here I am, man. It's all good. 10 toes down, man. It was a grand rising. It still looks that way. I'm here. Happy Thursday to everybody. The week is going fast as heck, man. Too fast. Too fast. Time is flying by, man. It is not waiting on anyone. Trust that. All right, man. What it do, James? I see you up in here. Babyface Lokster, huh? Tapping in, showing some love, big dog. Appreciate that, Babyface Lokster. And again, bro, welcome to Under the Groove Podcast. Good to have you here, man. This is touching bases with the people. This is what we come to get down with the get down, bro. And we focus on the focus. Discussions, conversations, dialogue. It's all above board, man. Ain't no funnies, ain't no disrespect. Brothers and sisters coming up here, uniting and, having those conversations that matter to us all. Regardless of what we tend to think about our lives individually, man, we all in the same boat, man, and we all are going through some of the same things, no doubt, people. No doubt. That's a fact. But again, good to see you up in here, Babyface Lokster. Appreciate your presence, bro. And peace and prosperity, you and yours, homie. So that's a good look. All right. What it do, James? I'm good, man. I'm not complaining, man. Like I said, just one of them days, you know what I mean? One of them days. Went down to the studio to get some things done, man, and it went all bad, man. YouTube or whoever was tripping, man, about the whole process. So, I utilized that time. I went to do content, couldn't get none done. Well, actually, I got something done. But, in terms of what I wanted to do, I couldn't get done because the system, they had basically locked me out until I understood why they were locking me out. Had to go get my tech support, but had to come home to get my tech support to get an understanding on what the heck was going on. Everything is above board now. So, again, I just took that time in to try to figure out something, man, to do, gather, content, things like that, what I'm going to drop for tomorrow, stuff like that. So it wasn't a waste. You know what I mean? It wasn't a waste. Kind of rubbed me the wrong way. But again, I looked at the situation. Okay, let me get up on something. Let me, decide, what my plan for tomorrow is going to be. And that's how I utilize that time. So it's all good. I have no complaints, man. And that's the truest statement I can give you right now. So other than that, man, everything is everything. What's good? and what ain't, man. Again, what's good is, hey, we here. You know, we're here, man. And we tend to know what ain't good. You know, we go through that every day. Uh, I think our objective, man, is to, get to that point where, our good outweighs what ain't good. You know what I mean? So, hey, people, just keep that focus on just like that. And you can't let nothing get us down, man. Got to make the best of a bad situation. As Gladys used to say, Gladys Knight and them Pips. Got to make the best of a bad situation. And that's what I attended. That's what I done today. So other than that, man, I'm good, man. I appreciate you sending yours. I send mine right back. Peace, man. Respect, prosperity, you and yours, bro. I know how you like your day, man. You go about your day a certain way. I can appreciate that. And again, may your day be everything that you plan for it to be. If not, you still got time to work on it. The day is not over. You feel me? There that is. And again, Babyface Lokes, appreciate you tapping in, man. You had your spliff. Hey, man, go on, man, and put some fire to that thing right now and turn up. You know how we do. Yeah, okay, you're already on it. There you go. Uh-oh, there you go. You hit me off with something. I gotta put my thinking cap on, man. Had to go turn the AC on. It's kind of warm outside, but it's all good. Oh man, let me hit these questions and I'm gonna come back to that because let my mind, work on all that. But I see this thing lit up already, so that I can't waste no time. 3 things I like for me, how I still see the situation, where's that question? There you go. 3 things you love about our community and 3 things you dislike. What I do love about the community as a whole, and I'm not talking about one sector or another. I'm talking about as a whole. I love the fact that once we see the same thing, we tend to act on the same thing. I know that about our people. Brothers could be at odds with one another, but let something go wrong, another brother gonna feel that. He gonna feel that wrong, that injustice, and they gonna, we come together, we act on that. I love that about the community, no doubt, man. Another thing I do love about our community, that in respect to unity, man. So it just goes to show unity amongst us is something we can have if we choose to have it. We don't have to wait for somebody to do something to one of us for us to come together and unify. You know what I mean? So there's that, though. I know that when something ain't right amongst us, we come together, we jail, and we go at it. We do what we're supposed to do as a unit. That's what I love. That's one thing I love. Another thing I love, in the realest sense, I love the strength of the sisters. And a lot of us, we neglect to recognize or focus on that aspect of the focus, the sisters, that I say demographic, so to speak. Our sisters, man, are stronger than we give them credit for. Granted, there are a lot that, just be wilding out just like some of us brothers, But for the most part, people, our sisters are the strongest thing on the earth, man. And I love seeing them in the community, especially when they're in the community. They're in the communities doing all those things that matter, be it nurturing, be it feeding, be it chastising, be it checking somebody when they need to be checked. I love the fact that when our sisters step out, they step out, man, just as strong as the brothers. In fact, in my opinion, they step out stronger. So I love that about the community as well. And, last but not least, man, I love the blackness in the community because I think it's still there. It's actually, I'm pretty sure it still exists, blackness or black power still exists in the community. And I love to dwell on that. My thoughts of that or my thoughts on that is constant. I'm always thinking about that. And I'm telling you, I smile within as well, out on the outside about it, just waiting, waiting for the day. I love the fact that I know it's going to happen. You know what I mean? So those are the 3 things I love. Again, man, the unity, the strength, and in the identity. You know what I mean? I don't know if that word could be attached to how I just expressed it. The identity of the people. our blackness is how we identify, you know what I mean? And I love the fact that when, we're out and about, brothers and sisters, there are a lot of us, man, that actually push towards identity of blackness. So I love seeing that. I love that in the community. Now, the three things I despise are, I don't like about the community. This selfishness. The community on the whole is selfish in a lot of respects. We are selfish. And I think that trait of being selfish, or that selfishness, is something, man, that it sets us back. It doesn't help us. It actually doesn't even help the individual or individuals who are so selfish about a whole lot of stuff. It's a hindering thing. It hinders us. It stagnates or stymies our progress, as a unit. It stops us from unifying, so selfishness is something I don't like, I dislike about the community. All right. The other thing I dislike about the community, now, everything I said in terms of what's positive and good, there's an underside to every bit of that. You know what I mean? There's an underside, and that's what I'm speaking to. Selfishness, you know what I mean? Then there's also the self-hate. So when I'm saying, hey, we recognize blackness, and when we own that, we own that. Now, on the other side of that, there seems to be, oftentimes you see, the opposite of unity and love for self. You see that the self-hate, the self-disrespect. You see brothers and sisters carrying on in such a way that's just not dignified at all. That's something I dislike about the community. And the other thing is, you could probably attach this to what I just said, but what I don't like about the community mostly, man, is how we tend to strive and do for others before we'll strive for self and each other. You know what I mean? We see that a lot. We see brothers and sisters giving passes or being just cordial, and those things that to another demographic was seen. And I think a lot of them look at it like this, just some coward stuff. We give respect a lot quicker to others than we'll give it to ourselves or to each other. That's something I hate seeing that. And I hate the fact knowing that it exists in the community. So when we tend to do that, what we do is we hurt the community. We hurt ourselves. Actually, a lot of dudes don't understand that either. Dudes don't respect that. These other demographics, these other people, they don't respect that because they know what they're doing. They know what's actually going on. And, they talk amongst themselves when they see brothers, being not necessarily docile, but not as aggressive towards them as they would be to other brothers. They see this stuff, man. And I think this is why we see, or we hear, a lot of this chatter about us as a people. People want to, they feel like they can step out and say things about us. And it's not necessarily true, but it is to an extent. We have those type of brothers. We have brothers who will go after brothers rather than go after those who are really against us. You know what I'm saying? When it's time for us to rise up, they're not there. Some, but as a whole, no, they're not there. So that's something I hate seeing. Brothers willing to, be a certain way with others as opposed to how they are with each other. I think that's a bad look, man. So those are three things. I hope I made sense, and I kind of, trying to keep it all together. But those are the three things that upset me a lot in terms of the community. Again, though, I think that we as a people, ain't nothing like us. Ain't nothing like us. And I'm telling you, when things go wrong, we know how to unify, and we do that. I'm saying, though, by the same token, we shouldn't have to wait for that to occur. before we decide to come together. So I love the fact that it's in us. It is in us, what I mean, to coalesce, to come together, man, to be a unit if we choose to do it. So, I love the fact that that exists. I love the fact that our sisters are the strongest beings on the earth. Ain't nobody like them. Ain't nobody like them. And we tend to want to single out our sisters, or that one's skinny, that one's fat, that one's fine, that one's ugly. These are our sisters. And they're beautiful, man. I'm telling you, these are queens, man. Ain't nobody like them, So I enjoy the fact, being able to see my sisters in their true light, especially the ones who you just have to notice that they have a certain essence about themselves, man. I love it. And again, they are there in the community. They are nurturing the community. They do support the community, They look out for those in the community. No nonsense type sisters, like your mama, your grandmama used to be back in the day. A lot of them sisters exist. So I appreciate when I see them, I really do. I really do. And again, last but not least, was the fact that we recognize when it's time to unify, when those things occur that affect us, when injustices happen, boom, we own it. But I think also there's still a certain instance of vibe or essence about us that allows us to recognize our blackness, In spite of what we see going on, I still think and I trust that brothers and sisters love their blackness, So, those are the three things I enjoy about the set. I appreciate and love about the community, not the set, but the community as on a whole. So, if I left something out and if somebody got a 3 that they love about the community and then 3 that they, despise or don't agree or don't like about the community, throw that in there, and I imagine that could be the discussion today. What do we appreciate about the community as opposed to what we don't appreciate about it, So let's have that conversation. I appreciate you, James, for dropping that or hitting me with that. All right. I appreciate you for that. Yeah. Queen Nzinga said, peace and blessings to the kings and queens in the Royal Group congregation. All right. B1, loved ones. B1, for those who don't know, we got a babyface Lokester. I can't recall if you've been here before. It sounds familiar, but anyway, B1 equals black first. That's it. That's all. So, hey, Queen Nzinga, let me pose the question back to you. What are the 3 things that you like or love about our community and the 3 things you dislike? Hopefully you got enough, you got some time, or, you're not too preoccupied to boom, drop that in the RGC for the Royal Group congregation. Let them read that. Let them get your thoughts on that. James said, man, I be thinking about our communities every day, homie. I just send best wishes and vibrations out there. May life find everyone in the best of health, sanity, and peace. Again, man, peace and prosperity, y'all. And prosperity, I don't necessarily mean in terms of wealth or money, but prosperity in terms of our mental, spiritual, and physical health, prosperity in terms of our bonds with each other and our families. You know what I mean? We could be super rich in that, man. That's our wealth anyway. We've been led to think that our wealth comes with the dollar, and that's wrong. That's not the truth. That's the way they function, and as a result of what the things we've been through since being here, we've been indoctrinated with that same mindset. We've been conditioned to think that money is everything. All right. I'm one that I'll tell you in a minute, don't matter a damn to me, been there and done that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Does it help? Yeah, because we're in that type of system. Capitalism it dictates that you have to have some money in order to live, So there that is. For me, I long for the day things change, I long for the day when things change and money is not the issue. Money is not the issue, Yeah. All right. There that is. Chris, what it do, loved one? Good to see you up in here, bright and early. Bright and early. Good to see you, brother. Peace and prosperity, man. Peace and prosperity to you and your family. May your day and your family as well, may their day been just as prosperous, and positive as yours. All right. If not, again, we still got time, y'all. We still have time. All right, Raymond, what it do, loved one? Got Roscoe up in this thing, man. He said, how did these colonizers commit the most atrocious acts of inhumanity to us, but has convinced the world that we are the problem? Hey, it's crazy you mentioned that, because I was in the studio today, like I said, and I was putting together some content in terms of this clown, up at 1600 Pennsylvania Street, and then the other two morons sitting on this left and right, how they are trying to explain away to the world, or they're trying to disseminate, man, this narrative, this propaganda that the Iranians are the worst people on the face of the earth, right? And I'm listening to it. He had a cabinet meeting this morning. This is what he's telling reporters. But they've been saying this, right? They and Israel, the two worst terrorists in the world. And I said, damn, man, how does he get away? How do they get away with this? And I thought about all the so-called journalists and reporters, just sitting around and eating this stuff up. No doubt they'll go back and, create a piece parroting everything he said. None of them are going to question, well, you're saying Iran are the worst people on the face of the earth, very bad people, very evil people. But what do you have to say about Iran, the country Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, Africa, and even blacks in America? What do you have to say about them saying that the U.S. government and the Israeli government are the worst people on the face of the earth? You don't hear that type of stuff, right? And so I get it. I understand that. Okay, then if we're not hearing this from reporters who's supposed to report the truth, then they are a part of the system, a part of the program. They are the ones that Trump says what he says. They get it, they print it, and disseminate it. Part of the problem. Part of the problem. So yeah, man, we've been in this like that, Raymond, Roscoe. These colonizers, man, they've been doing this, and then now they on some neo-colonialism. They got some new stuff going down. Little do we know, but again, Iran is a perfect example of what's happening. The United States is attempting to help Israel unseat Iran so that Israel can do what they want to do with that whole region. See, to say that, we got to see the big picture, man. You have all these military bases, European, in that area. And they say, we're here to protect you guys and make sure no one comes to steal your oil. I mean, it's the funniest shit. Just consider every one of them locations where a base is, they all have oil, more than they need. So what? It makes no sense, man. Just think about it. Just think about it. Oh, we got to help. We got to make sure Iran doesn't do nothing and try to take over this area. No, man, that's where y'all are there. That's why they are there. American or U.S. military assets, military bases are there to make sure their presence. They want people to know we're here, and we're here, to keep y'all in line. Really, I think they got a lot of them in fear, and also to make sure don't nobody do nothing to Israel. The craziest stuff, man. The craziest stuff is going on. But these colonizers, again, and Roscoe, I appreciate it. They commit the most atrocious acts, of inhumanity against everybody. that is not like them. You know what I mean? But they convinced the world that everybody else is the problem and not themselves. It's crazy. You have a world with a population of over 8 billion people. How is it possible that the message or the reality of who's the most evil or who has done the most inhumane things or acts against other people, how is that not out there? How is it not a known fact? How does or why do countries allow themselves to be subjected, to this farce, this lie? Why would they let them come and even establish military bases in a place, in their land? That's not sovereignty. That means you don't run nothing, And again, they're not there to stop Iran from doing anything to anybody. All of them got oil, man. More oil than they need. And liquid gas. They got all that shit. You know what I mean? They're there to protect Israel, so that Israel could continue doing what it has been doing. Hey, man, since they got there. For over 100 years, Israel has been doing this. In the United States, in the UK, European countries have condoned it. Not only condoned it, but assisted them in doing this. So I don't know, man, how it's possible, but it is possible. We see it happening in real time. I don't get it. Jerry Coyle, what it do, bro? Yeah. Right back to you, man. What's up, big bro? Mad love. You and the family. B1, right back to you, man. We send our peace and prosperity out to you and the fam. May everybody be, man, in the best of health. Just getting through this day. All right. Love you, bro. Miss you. Well, I'm pretty sure we'll be hollering soon enough. All right. So until then, stay focused on the focus. All right. Stay focused on the focus, Jerry. Much love, bro. All right. What up with you, Donald Davis? Everything is everything. James, man, said, man, love to our beautiful queen sisters. 1000%. You are most definitely appreciated and in our hearts and thoughts constantly. We all we got. Yes, we are all we have. We are all we got. Just facts. Facts. Those are facts, people. All right, Antonio, right back to you. Love, man, and a proper salute. Roscoe, man, said, man, where are we headed as a people in the face of racism from others, yet we self-hate? Understand the power of unity, yet fail to unify. Have resilience, but are susceptible to societal contagions. Where are we headed as a people in the face of racism from others, yet we self-hate? We don't get it together. We don't get that out of our system, man. We're headed for doom and destruction. And we're starting to see that play out if you really pay attention. That's one location or one place we could be headed, doom, and destruction. Yeah, we are resilient. History, they speak on it, they speak on it with no problem. They talk about how resilient we are. But again, like you said, we are susceptible to societal. Why then are we susceptible to societal contagions? In other words, why or how is it that we allow ourselves to catch this madness that they've had, in them since they come out of the caves? These are destructive people. I refrain from calling them human beings, because they aren't human, but they've been this way, man, their whole existence. Some 3,000-4,000 years, they've been around. They've been just messed up, some messed up beings. You know what I mean? Full of toxicity, man, full of poison. And we've been imbibing it. Yep, we're just as sick as they are, man, in a lot of respects, man. And that's sad. We know better. We aren't doing better, but we know better. Raymond says, Raymond Cole says, man, as you say, Bud, when black people be on our blackness, we're on that. We need a permanent solution to get us to that mindset permanently. I want to add, right? It's better for us to be on this now instead of in adverse circumstances. So yeah, it's kind of like it's crazy, man, for us to go through what we go through amongst each other, right? Do the shit we do to each other, right? But then when something go wrong, police brutality, a police murder, something that we know is unjust, not righteous, something that's evil, negative, boom, we come together. Why are we waiting for stuff like that to occur before we come together? Why don't we get it together before all this? And I'm telling you guys, the fact of the matter is, were we to do that, all the stuff that those negative issues that bring us together would cease. They would cease. Be very few incidents or occurrences where that would be something that, would be out there in public and we'd be like, it's time to go, No, once they see that we have decided to unify, hey, man, there'll be some tests here and there. Don't get it twisted. But for the most part, they're going to say, oh, shit, when did that happen? We have to be careful now. See, because I'm pretty sure that with unity comes structure. Structure is going to come into play. Communication, unity, structure. And woe be to anybody who does something to any of us. You know what I mean? They'll be mindful of that stuff. They'll be mindful of that stuff because we're pushing now. We're not asking. We wouldn't be asking for anything. We're taking what belongs to us. Self-respect, our dignity, all that stuff that matters, man. And just know that we came together, man. Come on, man. They couldn't say or do nothing to us. So again, what you say, let's not wait for that moment where they didn't off another brother or sister, another mother or father, son or daughter, homie, home girl. Let's not wait for that to unify. It's our obligation. It's our obligation to do that beforehand. So again, if something occurs and we already know we're going to be against that, especially when it's against one of us, we know exactly how to move. We'll know exactly how to move, man. Yeah, let's not wait for that. But again, we see brothers and sisters starting to come alive. You know what I mean? They're beginning to wake up. For a lot of us, the pace ain't quick enough. You know what I mean? Brothers and sisters coming out of this slumber, they not waking up quick enough. But let's appreciate the fact that they are waking up. You know what I mean? So that's a good look. That's a good look, All right, Rakufu. He said the African Union has officially moved beyond inviting the diaspora back. They are now creating formal legal pathways. I'm going to tell you something I checked out yesterday, Ra. It was a question posed. I forgot where I saw it, what channel I saw it on, but the question is being asked, why is the United Nations all of a sudden opening offices in Africa? Why all of a sudden in Africa? You hadn't been there. You didn't take an interest or concern with or about Africa, a decade ago, 2 decades ago. The most you did was send United Nations peacekeepers or something like that to stop, the people from rising up, for instance. Where were you guys when, you have when the Civil War, in Sudan was jumping off, and all this stuff we see taking place, that, mind you, started because of some machination or some plot y'all, when I say y'all, I mean, them people put into play. You know what I mean? Again, the continent of Africa has more resources and rare earth minerals more than anybody. So when we see stuff occurring in Africa, when brother is against brother over there, it's for a reason. And that reason more often than not is to destabilize the region, to destabilize the country, so that the European could come in and say they're bringing order, but when they come, what are they coming with? How do they come? They're coming with military. They establish the military order. Then they bring in diplomats. Then next thing you know, they got their companies and corporations up in there, stealing, pillaging, pilfering the resources from the people. Got the people fighting over some stuff, man. Again, man, it's so much of that stuff to go around, man. There's nowhere in the world one individual or one political group of another could even, dig up all this stuff, man, to even hoard it. There's no way. There's no way. But they come in with dissension. They create dissension, divide and conquer. This is what the script is. That's the playbook, period, point blank. But if Africa or the African Union, and mind you, Ra, we have to be careful about the African Union. We have to be careful about ECOWAS. Those individuals. They're puppets. They are puppets. They are puppets. Just like their masters, they'll turn a blind eye to certain atrocities on the continent, but then they'll pick or choose to fight a positive order. They'll want to go against or dismantle a country that is on the rise and is doing something for the first time for its people in a long time. So we have to be careful in terms of who these people are and really who are whose interest they're really advocating. It's just on the face of it sounds good, but there's probably a lot behind that. This better than most, probably better than me, but that don't always mean it's a good thing. It doesn't mean it's always a good thing. You have Europeans, actually, any day now, something's going to jump off because they're trying to get back. They're trying to recolonize those countries that have kicked them out. They have the resources, the rare earth minerals that they need to keep their power plants going, the nuclear power plants going, to keep their countries lit, keep them, active, keep that society going, keeping the world go around, their world. They need all that stuff to keep their world to continue to revolve. Something's up. That's all I got to say about that. And then, you see more and more Jewish people going into Africa. So always something behind that stuff, man. So yeah, kudos to the African Union, especially if they are, coming together, man, to bring change to the continent. What I did notice is that when the Sahel, the AES, Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali, when they decided to make these changes for the betterment of the people, the AU was against them. They were talking about sending troops in there to put back a puppet into power. a European puppet, more than one, you know what I mean? All of them. So we got to go in there and we're going to put and seek back democracy, bring back democracy, no military, no juntas, no military coups, but best thing that happened for them was a military coup in those three countries. And the idea in terms of what they're bringing to the people or bringing to the table is spreading. It's spreading. So, when this was occurring and going down, the AU and ECOWAS, they were talking about attacking these brothers at the behest of their masters. So if anyone thinks that they've cut the string and cut themselves away from their masters in the last 3 months to 3 years, you're sorely mistaken. Something's up, But I don't trust them. That's me. I don't trust them. B60, what it do, bro? Greetings and salutations to you, bub, and the RGC B1. Right back to you. Right back to you, bro. Peace and prosperity. You know how that go. It's a good look to have you up in here as always. Your presence is appreciated. Trust that. And the knowledge you drop is appreciated, bro. Know that. Rakufu say for decades, reparations in the U.S. were stuck in domestic courts where judges often ruled that the victims are dead. This resolution changes the legal game. Yeah, man. I don't know. I just I think we look at it as good news, but I think we just need to be cautious until we know for a fact that will happen. And I tend to think that, I don't know, there are too many of them that didn't aided, abetted, and was a part of that get out. And I don't think one of them are gonna, well, if any of them, for instance, give apologies, they'll be half-hearted apologies. They won't be real apologies. It'd be the same thing we saw with de Klerk at the end of apartheid in South Africa. That was all bull crap. And in fact, them people still over there, still thinking that they run that. They run that country. They, boom. It's a shame, man. It's a shame. Donald Trump went over there, allowed what he professed to be victims of black violence to come over here, just, hey, man, no passport. And they just, come on, we're going to save you. These are white Christians. Something wrong, y'all. We got to get ready, though. We got to get ready. Rod goes on to say, man, just Cogent's status by labeling the slave trade as a violation of just Cogent's fundamental international law. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get involved in that, dig a little deeper and find out what they're talking about, bro. And just to see if I can see something wrong with it, because I don't trust them. I don't trust none of them. James say, Bub, music is very influential. And I trip that our talented brothers and sisters on the mic ain't putting out positive rap, peaceful, loving rap like the old days, man. You and me, man, same mind in that respect, right? Because that would be the gate. That would be the bridge. You know what I mean? Imagine just 6 months of that. 1 year, of conscious and positive, rhymes, hip hop, rap. 1 year of that. That ain't going to happen. They'll lose too much money. And just say, and just how cold it is in terms of how the people think us. So let's say every one of them say, yeah, you know what? Black power. Let's move towards the people. Let's unify the people. Boom. The record industry, the record company is going to, cancel out all their contracts. They'll get no more airtime. They'll get no more, checks. They'll take their homes and cars, and then they'll open the door for all those who are willing to take that spot. How many you think are going to rush to take that spot? So I'm saying that to say the only way that could actually take place, positive hip hop, where the recreation of a new Public Enemy, KRS-One, you know what I mean? Those type of get downs, or those type of individuals and groups. The only way that can actually come into play if they were indies, independent, not under the thumb of the heel of record execs, record corporations and stuff like that, don't have to worry about non-disclosures and stuff like that, until we see, a rise, in our brothers and sisters, putting the shit out there for real. And I mean, there's a whole lot to it that has to change. The way we speak in rhymes, when our brothers are rapping, or the way hip hop is presented, a lot of that has to change. A lot of the images have to change. So, it's just more to it than just the lyrics. It's also the attitude and the mindset. I hear, and I'm saying this because I've heard. I don't listen to the music, but I hear the N word more than any other word in rap music today. The N word and the B word. And not only that, but the majority of the music is about black on black crime, murder, trapping and all this old stuff, my big chain and, my car, my big home, all of that's being leased. Don't none of them own that stuff, so I think, man, if that's going to be the case, if rap coming back to what it used to be back in the day, a lot is going to have to change to the point where a lot is going to have to change, what we heard 10 years, 20 years, 30 years ago, you can't be putting that out. Not if the plan is to bring the people together, whole lot gonna go. Yeah. Y'all know though. Yeah, them old days. Again, though, there's even one group. I'm gonna say this right quick, move on. Coast Contra. Now these four brothers are hard, man. The way they do shit is tight. It's tight. The only issue I got with them is they use the N-word quite a bit. They use it quite a bit. But what they talking about is some tight stuff, man. It's tight. They're conscious. I think they could be more conscious with, how they drop shit. I think that they aren't, because they're trying to also find that comfortable medium to where they can get a little airplay and still be, who they are, so they don't go all in. Dudes are fire though. They're fire. But if we have more like them, and I'm pretty sure there are, we just don't get the opportunity to hear them as often as we do that BS that we hear a lot of, But yeah, old days, man. That shit from the old days. We love to have that back, no lie. Rakufu says the United Nations gives African American legal teams the standing to sue for reparations in international courts like the ICJ, the International Criminal Justice. But listen, let me tell you something, man, about the United Nations. And you may know this already. Don't nobody respect them. They have no authority. They have no authority, bro. Don't nobody respect them. That's why Trump went and tried to start this new organization that's supposed to mirror the United Nations. I forget the name of it right now, but he charged them all $1 billion to be a part of this new get down, this new United Nations thing. But the United Nations, man, nobody respects them. Nobody respects them. In fact, the International Criminal Justice System or Criminal Court, the ICC, isn't really respected. I don't know where they would take this case. Would it be to the Hague, or I don't know where they will hold it. But the fact is, man, these countries, especially the European countries, do not respect the United Nations. Period. Period. United States don't respect them. European countries don't respect them. Israel don't respect them. The only ones who actually respect the United Nations are those countries who were once subjugated by these countries that don't respect them. And I think that's some backward stuff also. I think that, man, why would I go to the United Nations when those who created the United Nations doesn't even respect its charter? They don't respect nothing about the United Nations. Why would I think the United Nations can help me when those who created it don't even respect it? I wouldn't mess with them. I wouldn't mess with them. But anyway, you go on Rakufu to say, bypassing the U.S. veto, even if the U.S. government refuses to pass a reparations bill, these international rulings can be used to freeze assets or place liens on the international property of the banks and companies that were involved in the trade. Man, yeah, right. Sounds good. That ain't gonna happen. Those countries that might have their holdings, have those accounts, the IMF, the World Bank, all of them, they're not going to do that. They're not going to, especially under the threat of attack about their possessions. They're not going to do it. Not the United States, of all people, of all countries. No, not the superpower. They're not going to hold none of their money. Not, especially as long as the US dollar is the top currency. It's just too much to that, man. They can, again, man, it's simple. I mean, you can put it on paper, man, and boom, but it'll only be good on paper. You know what I mean? It'll only be good on paper, man. That's just my thought on that. That's not being pessimistic. I think that's more of being a realist in terms of how these countries actually function. None of them follow the law, bro. They want us to, but they do. The law does not apply to them, bro. I don't care what court, what world court, what law they under, maritime law, land law, air. They don't follow rules, man. They just don't. That ain't gonna fly with a whole lot of them. Because a whole lot of them be in a hell of a lot of trouble, man, if they were made to actually pay for, the atrocities, man, and the murder of millions, man. Nah, man. Nope. I don't see that one, bro. James said every single rap song in the last 20 years, they talking about money, what they have, what others don't have, women, the fact that brothers who are broke are busters. As a listener, why even bother? Right. The music, again, it was produced for those who run everything. Hey, man, it's a cold scheme. Music is a part of, just like social media is a part of the problem. This stuff ain't by accident, man. It's just not. Even the movies. None of this stuff is by accident, man. I'm just saying. James, you're going to say, and ultimately, a lot of music carries the same pattern of misery, hatred, and evil. They talking about ops, and me personally, I don't use that terminology. We know who the real enemy is, bud, right? We should. We should, each and every one of us. Each and every one of us. Rakufu said the word for the day is epistemology. Epistemology. It's a religious term. What is that? Kind of caught me there. What does epistemology mean? I hope I said it right. All right. Epistemology is the branch of philosophy dedicated to the study of knowledge, often called the theory of knowledge. It investigates the nature, origins, and scope and limits of human knowledge, focusing on what we know, how we know it, and the justification for our beliefs. Key areas include truth, belief, and evidence. Core aspects of epistemology: definition of knowledge, frequently defined as justified true belief. All right. Um, I was more wondering, did that epistemology, did it evolve, or did it come from or does it exist because it came from a religious term or something? It just hit me with that. And I know the word, but I just forgot the definition. So you got that one. That's a good one to have, though. Yeah, it's purely philosophical and relatively new, even though the ideas behind it are ancient. It was coined in 1856 by Scottish philosopher James Frederick Ferrier. He created it by smashing together two Greek words. He couldn't have created it because they weren't even Greek words then. The Greeks didn't even create them. All right, it's going down in them airports. You appreciate that epistemology. And happy birthday to my niece Shakila. Want to send a shout out to my niece Shakila. Happy birthday. Um, Enjoy, take care of yourself, do good, continue to do good. All right. We love you and we miss you. Yeah. Shout out to my niece from her family. Queen Nzinga said the three things I love is the unspoken connection, our village, our resilience and resourcefulness, our fashion and undeniable energy. Ain't nothing like our black folk. You say she goes on to say, Queen Nzinga, I dislike the homelessness, the lack of real resources, and the regentrification that doesn't include our people. Very intelligent woman. Thank you for that, Queen Nzinga. Thank you. Thank you kindly. Raymond Scholes said, man, I think if a lie is told confidently, it can become the truth. Mm. But realistically, not realistically, but from a hypnotic psychological sense, I'm just saying people need to wake up. Damn, that's crazy you say that because a lot of lies are considered the truth or considered to be the truth. And they were whispered initially in the dark, you know. So it's crazy you say that. Real spit. All right, Antonio, you say loyalty. All right. Raymond Skull goes on to say, man, we are seeing pawns in the game being played out in real time on a global level. That book was informative too by Adam Weishfold. I hope I said that right. Weishfold, something like that. All right, Al, how you doing, brother? Peace and prosperity to you. You say I'm betting on Africa. I hope to see a United States of Africa in my lifetime. And that's the terminology a lot of them are using now over there. It's crazy. I ran across the podcast, an African podcast, and it's called the United States of Africa. It may have another name, but oh man, all they speak about is the USA, you know, and I love it. I love it. And they push, man, the way they push, man, it's inspiring, you know what I mean, to say the least. To say the least. And they don't go in on brothers and sisters. They go in on those they supposed to, you know. Now, and if a brother or sister got some old underhanded, some old shucking and jiving, step and fetch mentality or get down about himself or herself, yeah, they'll mention them for sure, for sure. Yeah, man. I like that, Al. Very informed you are. United States of Africa, man. Yeah, it's developing. It's developing. There are a lot of countries starting to, or who wants to now become a part of the AES. And I'm like thinking, man, that in and of itself is special. That means something. That means it's catching on. It's catching on. And not only that, but the people are part of the system now. They taking ownership, not of just their communities and their streets, but their country. They're on the front line. They're man, they out there, man. Anything don't look right, they blowing whistles and everything else, chasing them down, man. They're actually a part of the security apparatus, man. The things that are going on out there again are extraordinary, and we gotta love it. And hopefully we get some from it. Hopefully, may we receive inspiration, not necessarily motivation. We should motivate ourselves, not necessarily be motivated by anyone, but we can be inspired by others, especially if it's positive, especially if it's productive, especially if it represents dignity, self-love, unity, the people. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Yeah, man. They getting it done over there. All right, go on then, Shakila. I don't know why. You messed up my. There we go. All right. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I would love to see a lot take place that actually benefits the people. My wife and I, we had that discussion. We talked about, hey, in real life or in real time, um, the opportunity was right, and we get the family, to understand, the necessity for, let's say, migrating back home, going back home. We would go. We thought about it. We talked about it, you know. But at the same time, I think that it would it would kind of be a mistake to just, leave this to them and they didn't earn it. They don't deserve it. But and then in that same frame of thought, in that same vein, I said, shit, if we left here, they'd tear this place up in no time anyway. It wouldn't last long without us. So, it's probably best to let them have it. Let's go home and build up ours, and protect ours, grow from that. Yeah. All right, Al said, man, as I stated yesterday, I think Africa will be our fallback line, our fallback line in regards to war. I have supreme confidence that our brethren on the continent, that they are marching to a new tune. I don't disagree with you at all. Again, I named those three, and actually there are more who are coming in line with getting not just the individual countries together, but are starting to reach out to other countries and say, hey, man, shake these chains, get rid of the colonizer. Let's do our thing. And there are a lot of them. And I think that they'll be successful. But at the same time, I think that they're going to be tested very soon. And again, man, it would please, I'm pretty sure, a lot of us to know or to see that if that occurs, them other brothers, in the United States of Africa would come to them brothers' assistance and chase them devils out of there. Just chase them out altogether. And I have to say that goes double for the Chinese and the Russians or anybody else. That's just my take on it. That continent should be for our people and our people alone. That's what I think. That's what I think. Everybody else got, yeah, man. Y'all be okay where y'all at. but don't come over here. All right, Al, I hear you though. James said, man, some dudes think they know it all. None of us know anything. True that. True that. I can't stand dudes who put all kinds of crazy information out there as if it's supposed to serve some purpose. They above the law, bud. Yeah. You know, we got it. We got, hey man, again, I think a lot of our brothers are just misguided, man, you know, because we all were at some point or in some instance, you know what I mean? A lot of us didn't do a lot of the things a lot of us did, you know. For those of us who did a lot of what we shouldn't have done, I can speak for me. Yeah, man, I was fooled, man. I got played. Straight up. I got played, man. You know, I didn't know any better when I should have. You know, again, we were raised by a mother who were a lot of things, you know, positive. You know what I'm saying? So I got caught in that, you know, I got caught in that rapture, so to speak. That thing or that trap to where, you know, I'm out in the streets and I think I know it all. I thought I did, you know. I thought that the things I was being taught, you know, that I was allowing into my head were, you know, the right things, you know. Come to find out, I didn't know jack, man, and everything that I've been taught, most of everything I've been taught, especially from the streets, was just all miseducation, man. So I'm saying that to say, man, yeah, a lot of us brothers and sisters, we tend to act that way because again, we're being misled, man, you know, and you know, and for a lot of us, we allow, you know, that allow ourselves to be misguided or led down, you know, paths, streets, avenues, you know, or way of life by others who don't know no better than themselves. You know what I mean? So yeah, there's a lot of that. We got okay, man. I stopped watching social media, you know, that shit they got on there, right? Especially the shit that we see, brother, because of that, you know, because of that, you know. Let a lot of them brothers, especially that talk, man, tell it. You can't tell them nothing. You can't correct them. You can't, you know what I mean? You can't even advise them. You know, it's not like they say something they hadn't have been saying, and then somebody say, hey, brother Bub, you were wrong about that. And then, you know, brother Bub be like, man, F you, man. What you talking about? You can't tell me shit, you know. It's a lot of that. But that exists or that is there amongst or in our brothers and sisters like that because again, man, we got to focus on what the problem, the core problem with a lot of us is our conditioning, our indoctrination, our brainwashing, man, or the brainwashing that been done to us for so long. But again, at some point we have to be accountable. We have to take responsibility. And that's where these brothers fail at. That's where a lot of us fail or continue to fail, you know, but not willing to be re-educated, not willing to, you know, accept certain truths, not willing to also accept that we don't know shit. You know, we don't know a dang thing, man. You know what I mean? So we're gonna see that, man, until you know we get tired of looking at it. You know what I mean? We get tired of those individuals, you know, carrying on the way they do. And again, the last I scroll on social media and caught something that I said, yeah, I knew that was coming. Was about a couple of weeks ago. All this mess about the brother that got out that was out here, the King of LA, and got caught up, and all these guys telling on him now. You know about the paperwork. I don't know what's come out since then. I just saw that title and I said, yeah, that was coming. You know, that was one of my turnoffs, man, right there. You know, got a whole lot of that. A whole lot of that. And these dudes they will be offended when you tell them they're acting inappropriately, you know, or they're doing things they shouldn't be doing. These dudes will be offended. They'll threaten you. But again, I don't think most of them will do anything actually, and that's what's really sad too. Because anybody, man, worth their weight, man. One thing they not gonna do is be on social media talking about what they gonna do to somebody. Again, that's another dead giveaway. Especially in terms of guys talking who don't know shit. You know what I mean? Just not. This is just something you should never do. You should not do. But anyway, I appreciate that right there, Al. As I stated yesterday, I think Africa will be our fallback line in regards to war. I have supreme confidence that our brethren on the continent, that they are marching to a new tune. Now, that fallback line, I have a question. Well, not a question, more. Well, yeah, it could be taken as that. It is a question. Do you guys think that our young brothers in the streets, our young brothers and sisters in the streets, do you think that they are like frontline individuals? Do you think that they're our first line of defense here? Because I heard it said, and I've said it before myself. They were, or they are referred to as our front line. And if anybody think that, what do you think would be the outcome if that were the case or something was to take place? How would that, what would be the end game to that? How would that turn out? I'm just curious. Anybody can answer that if you feel free, if you feel like it. James say, okay, I read that one. Exactly, Bub. Rules don't apply to them people. Chris said, yes, it's what I'm realizing, how the world runs. The world is who can bully who. That's really what it's about. And through that bullying, oh shit, I got away with this. I can get away with that. Who's going to stop me? And most bullies act like that until they, get their nose busted, and you're trying to understand how that happened. I'm the man, Yeah. Rakufu, so I concur with you, Bub. Just dropping the info. And like always, Rakufu. And let's go. Look, let me say something, you guys. I don't mean that if I come off like I'm trying to, be not confrontational, but always in doubt or something. I don't mean it to come out like that. I think that for me, I'm wired a certain way, and I'm wired that way, and that might be an issue I have to correct also about myself based upon my experiences, the things I've done and the consequences, that I've suffered or went through as a result. But I'm wired that way. I'm wired to almost like think on a dime, like, okay, there's this issue, but what is the result of this issue? How can that go bad? So I tend to voice that. Okay, yeah, okay, the AU is putting together this thing, man, in the United Nations, and boom, it's going to serve us in terms of reparations. The world will have to admit that they, committed this grave wrong. This, I get it, very egregious, inhumane treatment of people of color. I get that. But I also realize that just based on how they've been going or how they've been doing for hundreds of years, hey man, they'll sooner tell us F y'all than give an apology, and I'm voicing that. I'm looking at them as they truly are, you know what I mean? So I don't mean to be like I'm tripping or anything like that, the fact that you brothers come and say your piece, I'm telling you, I appreciate it, because believe it or not, trust it or not, it still gives me pause to think. I still think about what is said, and I attempt as best I can to analyze the information, to try to make sense of it the way I'm wired, So yeah, I just want to say that, bro. You brothers, man, please, by all means, continue dropping this knowledge, man, these gems and jewels. See, because I ain't the only one that's trying to pick this stuff up and pocket it, Many, a great number of individuals, man, who are going to hear this, going to read, and it's like, yeah, boom. Yeah, I needed that, you know? So it's for us. It ain't for no one individual, you know, or individuals. It's for us. So continue doing what you guys do. Rakufu, Al, James, Chris, you know, B60, Fat Rat, you brothers, y'all come in and dropping knowledge, man. Don't stop. Don't stop. And don't ever think you can, man, do you. You know, because at this point and at this stage, I'm pretty sure you brothers are solid. Do your thing, man. Do your thing. Straight up. I mean that. James say YouTube and the internet is full of filler. It's full of filler and false info, no doubt. No doubt. Al says, man, at this point in time, the African continent has more action, or leverage to change things globally than we Americans do. True that. True that. And we're paralyzed with fear. Yeah. At this point in time, the African continent has more action or leverage to change things globally than we Black Americans do. All right. We're paralyzed with fear. True that. True that. Yeah. True that. And we've been like that for a long time, Al. Again, all the way or up until it's one of us against one of us. We're lions, you know. But when it comes to changing some stuff that we know affects our babies, we're kittens. We're kittens. True spit, man. All right, Poke, I see you, bro. Knock it off, man. Better late than never, homie. Better late than never. You say I'm late, bud, but what it do? And the hats, the topic, or what's the topic? I get you. As always, I send my love and respect to the UTG and the RGC. Peace, prosperity, bro. Good to see you up in this. Get down with us, man. Better late than never. Brothers is dropping gems and jewels, man, about state of affairs, not just here in America, in terms of how we go about doing stuff or how we are failing or we're not on point in terms of going about doing what's right for us. Couple that with what's taking place in Africa, what's taking place in the United Nations. In the United Nations, they're trying to pass a resolution that will put those who had something to do with that peculiar institution, slavery, not on the hot seat, but at the forefront in terms of acknowledging that they did an egregious wrong to people of color, to Black people with the slave trade. Hey, man, I think, that could be done. But what I responded to in terms of that, though, Poke, was, they could put that stuff on paper, man. But you know what? Then them Wyopies, man, they don't care like that, man. You can write all the laws you want in the United Nations. If they're not writing them, they ain't adhering to them. You know, them is facts. They not. Hey, they'll shake their heads. They're diplomats. Those who go in represent, like, but we'll abstain or we'll this or we'll that. But if it come down to pipes and it passes, man, them Wyopies ain't gonna be nothing like we think. They ain't gonna. That's gonna be a problem. But that and the fact that Africans though are getting it together and they're pushing. They're no longer afraid. That's how I perceive that, man. You know, but us over here, we kind of, we stuck, man. We on that hamster wheel, man. We don't want to get off. We're afraid, man, of the consequences of a whole lot of stuff. So, you'll pick it up, though. It's here, bro. They dropping it. You can pick it up. Rakufu said, man, I think with the revolutionary, hold on, y'all up in here. I think with the revolutionary proper education, the youth out there could be our front line But if miseducated, our worst nightmare. Hell, man, yeah, that ain't even funny, but yeah. Al says, man, front line is different for me on different levels because when I thought I knew who my enemies were, it was me participating in black on black crime. And then when I was in prison, it shifted. Yeah. And yeah, I'm pretty sure a lot of us can relate to that in the realest sense. When you really come to know, I mean, from experiences, not from what someone told you, um, not just the differences in what front line mean, but the differences in for real who your enemy really truly is. You know what I'm saying? That's some eye-opening stuff, man. There's a big difference. You going to say though, you wasn't done. Hold on, you weren't done. Okay, here. Then where was I? Oh, that was Rakufu. I thought that was Al time. That was Rakufu, my bad. Al says here, we're more focused on destroying one another, though I do believe that they can be our front line. There is that probability that they will be. Um, Listen, man, other people see them as such better than we do. They do. They do. They see them as such. They see them as the main problem in terms of um, fighting the power. You know what I mean? They see them for what they are, and again, better than a lot of us do. I think that they are. I've said this many times. I think that our young brothers and sisters are our front line. They are initially, they will be initially our soldiers. And as this thing progresses, they will become our warriors. They will become the ones who are holding up and representing the cause. You know what I'm saying? I just think that they're going to hold the sword and the shield, man, or the spear and the shield, no doubt. No doubt. I think that they are the answer. That's just me. I think they are the answer. Our young brothers and sisters, you know. Now, how we get them to perform is another thing, you know. That's a whole nother thing, man. But they are the ones. They are our neos, you know. They're gonna break us out the matrix, man. Yeah, that's what I think. Yeah, appreciate that. I appreciate that, Rakufu. Real spit. Poke said, man, front line is different from me on different. That was Poke that said that, excuse me. Damn. Front line is different from me on different levels because when I thought I knew who my enemies were, it was me. Who my enemies were, it was me participating in black on black crime. And then when I was in prison, it shifted. Absolutely, bro. You're going to say, man, to a race thing now with much experience, maturity, and knowledge, it's a different kind of front line than we as black people don't want to be a part of for whatever reasons they may have. Yeah. Yeah. I'll say, man, it's a kind of killing your own soldiers. I can't even say we. They need to wake the fuck up. We agree. We agree wholeheartedly. I got a call from the brother Tough the other day, a quick text letting me know um, I'll be going out into the field soon, hopefully, to sit with young brothers and sisters. I'm looking forward to that. And I'm telling you, man, that it's like a fire, man, in my me and my core is lit. I can't wait. I can't wait. I we need them to know, man. We just need them to know that there's so many brothers, man, who can help show them the way, you know. And then they have a responsibility, man. And we got to show them, we got to let them know they do have a responsibility. So I can't wait for my turn to come, you know. And I'm thinking, man, you know, I'm actually, my mind goes like that. I'm putting the cart before the horse. I'm like, oh yeah, man, this is gonna happen, this is gonna happen. And not really, no, I'm not there yet, but my core, my essence tell me it's gonna be okay. And because of that, I'm thinking ahead, like, all right, when this go down, I'm gonna have to contact Miz and some more brothers, and we gotta, you know, we gotta start putting these pieces in place, you know. We gotta start getting our brothers and sisters ready. Now we have to have these conversations with them now, you know. We have these conversations with us every day. We have to start having these conversations with our young brothers and sisters. They need to know, you know, and if there are those who already know but are reluctant, brother just said, a lot of us are in fear, you know, for a lot of reasons, you know. So even if there are brothers who are in fear of falling back from that, or in fear of just being accountable, man, you know, I think that type of fear exists as well. Being responsible, I think that type of fear exists. But if that's the case, then we have to let them know it's all right. It's all right, you know. It's all right, man. You willing to face it? It's okay. Don't worry. Never worry. Rakufu said, man, I know our youth is the ultimate answer to our solutions. And I'm telling you guys again, them people know it better than us. Those people know it better than us. And it's documented. It's documented. They fear the American black youth. They are their greatest threat. That's saying something, man. That is saying something. You know, there it is, man. Al says, man, we have to be willing to put it all on the line. You know, it got to be all above board, man. You know, yeah. I'm willing to die for the future of my kids, bro. I know you ain't lying too. I'm willing to die for the future of my kids and grandkids and race globally, like that, right? Black first, god damn it. And globally means something. Again, we have to get away from this mindset, y'all, where we're allowing division to exist. If it's one of us, it's all of us. We're the same thing, man. I don't, you know, that's what I'm trying to, you know, that's what we would like our brothers and sisters to understand. Okay, you want to wear, you know, certain patches and badges and medals about, or you know, on your sleeves about what it is you are, or you know, that label. That's fine. That's fine. That should be understood that that's okay. You know, that's fine. But don't put that before the people. You know, it should be looked at that, you know, you might be that, but the people, we are one. We're one, and nothing can come before that. Be one first. And again, you don't take it like that. We're talking about a people. You know, we got this, man. You got to be willing and ready to go for it. I know I'm gonna tell you one thing. I know I sometimes I can feel my wife's not fear and not anxiety, maybe that, but I know she worries. You know what I mean? I just know. I know. I know my wife sometimes might think, man, this mother is a loose cannon. That this man ready to go. I try to reassure her often as I can. It- you know, as long as my family is right, and as long as I'm in the streets and I don't see nothing untowards my people occurring in my face, I'm all right. But no, I'm if something is going on with my family, nah, man, I can't just sit and watch that or be okay with that. I'm just not. Um, and I try to tell when my time comes, it's gonna come. I don't know how it's gonna come. I prefer when it comes to be, you know, besides my woman, man, my wife, my queen. I prefer to, leave peacefully, you know, naturally. Who doesn't? But hey, by no means anyone can get away with trying to harm those I love, man, especially, just not just family, but the people. That's gonna be a problem. And like hell, man, we need to hurry up and get it together so people get those type of notions out their minds. You know what I mean? But more so than anything or anyone else, we got to get that out of the mind of our people, man. You know, we got to hurry up and eradicate that thought from their processes. That thought about hurting one another or hurting the people. That's what's scary to me. That's what's scary to me, man. I ain't gonna lie. Folks said, man, I remember I was doing some mentoring with the Brotherhood Crusade Foundation, and we went to USC to talk to youngsters from 10 to 17 years of age. And all of them were straight A students. It was my first time in a college class that I never thought I would see, but it felt wrong to talk to them about what to stay away from when they were already doing good for themselves. But I quickly understood that, man, that had to be a good sight for you, man. Again, when I'm in environments like that, or I can say if I find myself in an environment like that, I would be so pleased, man. I would probably tear up, man, just to see. I mean, because I think that's the thing, man. Well, we need, and we know that we're supposed to be excellent. We want to see our people performing at such an excellence, man, that it's just, it helps, it adds to, um, one being dignified, proud, even having some pride, that respect, so man, I would love that, man. I can sit with young brothers and sisters, even if they aren't in college, but or is in the street, but will begin to speak truth to power, and it registers. I would think of feel my emotions would probably be the same way because I think that um that vibe, man, that frequency is tied in the truth. I would feel, the truth of a brother or sister saying, man, yeah, I want better. you know um how do I get their help or whatever the case may be? So I look forward to it, man, whether they're educated or not. you know um yeah, whether they're educated or not, man, it would be a pleasure to be in that type of environment, Pope. Yeah, it would be a pleasure, bro. That's the truth, man, Pope. You said, man, yeah, I hear you, bro. Mm, yeah, I can appreciate that, bro. I'm telling you, that would have been me. That would have been me as well. I wouldn't have had no problem. I wouldn't have felt no shame about any of that. Especially, just making it through, making it through, and then seeing that brothers have made it through, sisters as well, and could very well be on their way to greatness, man. Yeah, I would have been in the same spirit. You know what I mean? I know that, you know, I know that. I'm like that, man. I don't even gotta know a person if it hit me right, if that vibe right, boom, my spirituality kicks in. And I think that's the most beautiful thing for me, man, especially when one is able to recognize, just goodness, righteousness, positivity. And I think that's part of why they do what they do to us, to our spirits, because they don't want our souls to lit. Because I'm telling you that's the energy and that's the force, that's the essence of who we are. And that is going to create problems for them. But anyway, yeah. Yeah, Rakufu, I saw the movie, bruh. Thomasine and Bushrod. I liked it. I liked that, especially at the end. How he went after that devil. I don't care, and she just said, "Hey, man, what we gonna name the baby?" And then boom, they hit her, and like 5 or 6 of them unloading on this brother, and he made it all the way to the main one. Gave him one between the eyes, man. I loved it. I love the fact that they was hitting them licks, and they was tapping in with the people. Was giving them that peace and prosperity. You know what I mean? Looking out. It kept really none of it for themselves. You know what I mean? Giving it to the people, man. And then they boy, I forget their boy name. He was crazy as hell. I'm looking at their boy like, damn, homie. You may have to slow down for real, because this shit gonna get us, we're gonna get caught up because you nilly willy. You had no structure, you didn't want to listen. He was wild, he was wild, crashing out. Kind of, how they caught him and dropped him in that pit with them rattlers, man. I was like, damn. Yeah, anytime 3 or 4 rattlers hit you, you ain't got but a few minutes. One hit you, you got a little time, you probably figure some stuff out, might survive it. Yeah, they did him foul, man. That devil, man. Yeah, he got right where he needed it to get it too, right between his eyes. Yes, I watched that one though, for real, for real. All right, you ain't saying nothing about whether or not you watched Uptight. Nobody mentioned that one. Yeah. My wife said that individual back then, he played in a lot of roles. He had a lot of roles, or black roles. Yeah, same guy though, no doubt. It was the first thing I said when I came in the room. I seen him. I said, "Oh, that's dude." Yeah, she said, "Yeah, that's him." Yeah. Wake and bake. Long time no see. He said, "What's up, OG Big Bub, man? I know it's been a minute since I've been here with you and the RGC loved ones. I've been good, just working and staying out the way. Appreciate hearing that. So peace and prosperity to you, brother. Hey, stay on course. Stay the course. Stay the course. Don't falter, bro. Tighten your hand, though, for sure. You know what I mean? Improve as best you can. And again, we say here, man, priority trumps everything. Be it that job, man, you need that job, take care of the family. Be it the family, man, hey, that's priority. You just want to keep your peace of mind. That's priority. You're going to never hold that against you. We don't hold that against our loved ones. Do what you do. Make right by yourself and your family. That's all that matters, bro. All right, Sam's Evans, I see you. You said Uptight is a great movie. You saw it? That movie had me frowning the whole damn time, though. Because all I'm seeing is our brothers today. how they selling each other out, man, for crumbs. Literally crumbs. That revolutionary man lost his life because a brother sold him out for crumbs. Now, we see that every day, man. Y'all got to know that, man. Every day this thing is taking place. The exact thing is taking place. I don't know if they're going down to the station and, you know, giving it up right then. I think nowadays they say they're just a phone call away. And, and I don't know how that works, but hey, they're doing it, brothers and sisters, for crumbs. Man, yeah, it was a good movie. It had me the whole time, though. Hey, Sam, the whole time I'm frowning, man. Wake and Bake said, man, broke my phone, so that's why I've been MIA. Tomorrow's my 31st birthday. Well, hey, man, happy birthday. All the best to you, bro. Again, peace and prosperity. May today, hey, own it, man. Own it. 34, and you're out here, you say you're handling your business, come on, bro. Appreciate yourself, Many more, like I said, many more. Rakufu said, Bub. Oh, and that's off that hold on. Bub, did you understand the lyrics of Curtis Mayfield's song, Those People Blacker Than Blue, when he says, continue. Is that on that album that he did right before he died? I think I know the song. Okay, yeah. So here you go. You said, Bub, did you understand the lyrics of Curtis Mayfield's song, Those People Blacker Than Blue, when he says, hi, yellow gal, can't you tell you're just the surface of this deep black whale? Yeah. You're just the surface of this deep black whale. You say, do I get that? Yeah, I get it. And again, is that darker than blue? Is that off the album Miss Martha and all them? I forget the name of the album. I got it on my playlist. We People Darker Than Blue. Yeah. I know the song. They sold out Marcus Garvey for rice and peas. Yeah. Yes, sir. 34 free. Appreciate every day. I'm alive and free, big homie. Yeah, man. Take care of Wake and Bake. 34 more, Blacker Than Blue, 1972. Okay, that ain't the same song then. I don't know how. Yeah, shit. I can't even call that song. Got me going in my playlist right quick, though. Hold on. Curtis Mayfield's song, Miss Martha. What album was that? Newer Order. Damn, I don't know how I keep forgetting that. Now, hold on. Find that, but I'm gone. What's the album? Oh, here we go. Okay, yeah, I was mistaken then. But I do recall on this album, he said something about people blacker than blue, da 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 da. But I'm gonna have to go check that song out. What's the name of it? Blacker than blue. Let me go get that. And speaking of Curtis Mayfield, y'all check that album out, Newer Order. Co-album. Blacker Than Blue, 1972. 1 second, y'all. All right. Curtis Mayfield, blacker than blue. Who are darker than blue. Okay. Yeah, that is also on that album. Or, yeah. So is that a remake? You got me wanting to play it. Long song too. Okay, yeah, Darker Than Blue. I think that's the name of it. Yeah, I do know this song. Stand around and let others say come true. Yeah. All right. All right. Thanks for that, y'all. I'm gonna get back up on it. Chris said, man, they sold out Marcus Garvey for rice and peas. Yeah, it seemed like, man, they paying less and less, man, to be selling each other out, right? We people who are darker than blue. Thank you, Rakufu. It's from his self-titled album called Curtis. I'm actually playing it now, y'all. I don't want it too loud, though. Bad dude, huh? Now, how he got paralyzed is also suspect. You know? Man. Can y'all hear? It's on my phone, though. Sam Cooke getting killed on Fig. 92nd is suspect, too, no doubt. There you go. What to do, fat rap playboy? Peace to you, Big Bub, and the RGC. I'm listening tonight, bro. Appreciate you up in this. Get down, bro. Salute. Peace and prosperity, loved one. Got you. Pardon me, brother. Man. Yeah. You're still black. I just heard the verse. In your glory. Stand in your glory. Tell the whole story. Did I miss it? Yeah, man. All right, you catch that, Rakufu? Hi, yellow gal. Can't you tell? You just the surface of our dark black well. All right, man. All right, there we go. I did. I caught the verse, though. All right, y'all. I got to get ready to cut out everybody. And I'm glad I did it. You know, YouTube gonna complain about that, but I ain't tripping. They ain't had that. I ain't tripping. I'm gonna have to play me some Curtis Mayfield, man. Hey, man, look. Y'all already know the script, man. It's just time, you know? It's time we wake up. It's time we wake up, you know, and just, do the best, do more than what we know we're capable of. You know what I'm saying? Do more than what we know we're capable of. What we're capable of is a whole lot. You know, we them people, man. We got a whole lot to us. And we barely even kicking out a little bit. So let's do a whole lot. Let's do a whole lot, man. Till the next time, take care of yourselves, man, and each other. Love yourself, love one another, all right? Y'all know what it is, man. You are, you have been, and you will be under the groove. Power is in the people, y'all. One love, everybody. Gil Scott, man, I'm going to grab that. I just watched him in the movie the other night, too, Fat Rat. All love, brother. Take care of yourselves. Peace.
Count the names, count the bodies, count the victory. Cullen Hughes, Hurst, and writing future history. From the Apollo to the Borough to the Sphere. Where the echo of those Harlem nights still ringing clear. So when they ask what happened in those tenement flats, between the spirituals and where consciousness is at, tell them we transformed suffering to scholarship and song. Tell them we've been telling you we're brilliant all along. The Renaissance will prologue every decade since the sequel. Every black child born's continuation of the people who survived the Middle Passage, survived the Jim Crow laws, and built magnificence from nothing but their vision and their flaws. That's in the sergeant. This is once a less than had this and Mercedes. Please don't you, I can't stop us. Power sensitive plot to the applause for polls. Need your data, tropes, and counsel any problem when the wet just wanna build the season bait. Now don't get the pause. It's just erasing up the cons. Plead the markets off the main. Make it honor fans. Turn the neck and love the durn. Suffer like a kesha. You were grown to preaching up on side as each alone. Bitch on the shit and untrue seeing vets. Someone the very it's on Gary Land. Be hell in heaven, you see what the Bonavin. If wait something for the Margaret to keep him for the trumpets on the boards to the singer land is carried open slowly. Keep us looking on my mother. Break your channel, resi for the he and let the peasant be. It's every time we keep a spawn.